Hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me just get a few things straightened up here and we will begin as we wait for some people to start to connect right now. So we'll wait a few seconds. When you're on, say hi. Hello, Karen. Hello. Nice for you to join. Thank you. Nice to have you guys. So we'll just wait a few seconds because I know there's definitely a few people that are going to be hopping on, so I won't dive too heavily into content quite yet. Bear with us, bear with us. Let me share this inside the chat. How do I do that? How do I do that? This, come into the chat. Let's see if that works. Oh, no. So we'll just wait a few more seconds. How's everyone doing? Hey, Christy. Guys ready to unlock some more joy? All right. Yeah, I know at least 3 more people wanted to come on. We got 7 on here that said that they wanted to come on, so we'll just give them a few more seconds. I was reading through the list here. Thank you guys for posting your top 5 because that'll give us some really good direction for how we want this energy to go. And then I saw some definite repeating ones, and those are going to be good because those are going to be the topmost things that are kind of in resistance for people. And so as we dive in here, I hope to at least address most of those things and give people a different angle on what is going on. So, hey, Michael, welcome on. Let's just take a few seconds to connect and take some deep breaths, a little small meditation. Hello, Alice. Nice. Hello, hello. So I'm just going to close my eyes and do a few little deep breathing. If you want to join me, go ahead. It'll just help us connect. All right. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up for you. So, 5-day challenge to more joy. Let's dive in. First off, I want to congratulate you and thank you for doing this, for joining, for committing to this challenge, for showing up for something that doesn't get a lot of attention really in terms of the results, right? Like most people are after different things, money and all of that stuff, and I am too. I mean, that's just part of the human experience. But for us to take 5 days and focus on joy amidst everything that's going on in your life, in the planet, everything that you've written down on your list of non-preferential things. For you to come and focus on joy shows me that you're after something deeper and richer than, quite frankly, anything in the physical reality can actually give us. And so I just want to honor you and thank you, and send my love to each and every one of you for making that choice for yourself, and that we're connected, that we are doing this together and on this ride, on this journey together, makes me super happy. So I want to lead it off by talking a little bit about the intention for. Oh, and the other thing I want to say, this is interactive. So if you have any questions, anything like that, chime in. I might not get to it right away, but this is meant to be interactive on all accounts. So you are communicating to me as much as I'm communicating to you right now. We have a dance going on, and I'm listening. I'm listening to all layers. And so if you have anything, any curiosities, you need anything cleared up, I'm here for you for this and for the next 5 days as we really go deep into it, into consciousness, deep into our self-awareness, deep into what is uncomfortable, and deep into presence, our presence as humans, as souls, as Earth, and really into some next level kind of quantum imagination ideas that will really give you a new foundation to really take ownership of your vibrational state and really start to transform a lot of things in your reality. So, why do I keep have to scroll for these comments? Yes. All right. So I will see the comments. Just remind me to scroll. All right. So, and I have a tendency to go very fast. So I'm gonna be very careful to slow down, take deep breaths. There's a lot in the silence between words communicated in the transmission. This connection that we have is a transmission of energy from me to you and from you to me. And in terms of you joining my container, you have joined my space and my vortex, my energy that I have been crafting for lifetimes. I'm an old soul. And so things are going to be transmitted both verbally and non-verbally as you are in my space, and you will feel what that provides over this talk, over this couple days, and hopefully some really cool things start to happen. Okay. Hello, Amber. So what was the intention about the vision exercise that we did today? As I put in a comment to Alice, we can get very stuck and stagnated in seeing a reality of things we don't want and having to almost hide away from all the negative that we are aware of, and that is just self-consciously like holding us down. And the reason I use non-preferred is because it starts to take a higher stance of your vision, because you are starting to see the contrast of your reality from new heights, from a soul level. The duality of our experience is the contrast of polarity, of positivity and negativity, of light and dark. It is a gigantic school for our soul to learn about our preference. And this preference is very much close to desire, But the reason why I say non-preferred versus preferred is disentangles it disentangles the knots of expectation and conditions. It leaves room, it leaves space for the opposite end of the contrast to exist without it becoming a battle, without it becoming a war, battle, and a conflict. All of the language around fighting something and having to conquer something, it sets a stage where you have to go to the same level of consciousness to face it, and you're facing it, and you're clashing with it. And so it's frequency against frequency, and that's why there's a struggle, that's why it's hard, and that's why it gets so heavy, because you're clashing at it from the same frequency. You're clashing at it from, I want this, I don't want this. I desire this, I don't desire this. And so there's a clash. But when you take it from a stance of preference and non-preference, you're going a little bit further back into awareness to be more of the observer of contrast, to start to sort out the frequencies, the mixed frequencies, without being either one of them. Now, when you start to take the preferred, you see that feels better, but it's still like, okay, there's still a distance, there's still a space so that you can accurately start to see what is mixed up and what is actually clashing in your mind. Okay? So being clear on non-preferred is not about getting stuck in the negativity or looking at things that you don't want and being uncomfortable just for that, but it's actually to start to clear up, to see that for every non-preferred, there is a preferred, and that you are seeing them as even and from a neutral place. That is the goal of that, of being able to see and be precise on that vision exercise that we did. And far too much, what I notice in the personal development space and in the entrepreneurship space, I mean, it's kind of ripe with that, is the positivity. What do you want to call it? The positivity movement. I'm not saying it's bad or anything like that. I'm not that, but the kind of forceful positivity message of like, never look at the negativity, never admit that it's there. It causes what I feel is a lot of suppression and repression, depression of a lot of that stuff, and it gets put under the rug. And so the reason why, again, we bring up the non-preferred is so that we can start to face this stuff, and instead of being scared of it, instead of, oh, it's going to bring my vibration down, or it's going to drag me down, we can face it and we can actually look at it, and we can actually study it like a scientist to really understand what the purpose of our non-preferred ideas, these non-preferred things in our reality, so that we can listen to the messages that are being given to us through what is non-preferred. So that was the reason for that exercise, and I know it was tough to go into that, and it's uncomfortable, but it's so that we can shine light on a lot of this darkness that is underneath and buried under our positivity, but yet we don't realize that this non-preferred stuff, because we haven't actually faced it, the trauma or whatever is the seed of it, it's actually like an anchor. It's like this anchor that is holding us at a certain vibration, and it's withholding us from actually flying higher in frequency towards the vision of our most preferred state, aka hashtag heaven on earth. Okay, so that's introduction there. Damn, when the passion flows, I know I go fast. I'm trying to go slow. If you need me to clarify anything, let me know. I'm going to try to take deeper breaths. So as we start to uncover this stuff and start to see the game, our puzzles, our games, our souls, lessons, game, puzzle, whatever you want to call it, whatever metaphor is fun for you. We want to be clear here. And don't just take this from my words. I want you to see if it's true for you. I want you to pretend that I'm giving this as theory for you to test out over the next couple weeks, or couple days, sorry. That our joy, and this is what this is focused on. So as you can see from the top 5 list, we can come up with a whole host of things that we don't prefer, right? And we can get lost in the conditionalness of thank you. We can get lost in the conditional love of, oh, because these things are not in my reality, I'm not there yet. I'm not a success yet. I'm not happy yet. Like everything is in the future because our reality is not exactly how we want to prefer. Because all of these things that are negative that we don't want to look at are present, but we're just like, no, I don't want to look at it. It doesn't exist if I don't look at it, right? And so it's kind of like this ignorance, innocence game that we've got playing on with ourselves. And what we want to be conscious of is the focus here for the next few days is on joy. And so we want to make clear what joy is in comparison to the phenomenal changing experience of our life's film strip. Okay? So when we have like an ecstatic experience, like when we go to an event or a dance, like an event type of atmosphere, and we get all riled up with inspiration and it's super fun and we're on like this high and we feel really great, we can start to associate that with our joy. And I'm not saying that it is not joy. It is. It's like an amplified experience of it, and it's an enhanced version of it. But we can get lost in the conditional aspect of it because there is a half-life to it. It does die away because it's always changing. But we can start to identify these experiences as, oh, that was joy and now it's gone. So it's really important as we clarify what joy is right now that we start to unmix these knots about our identity and what joy is and what we're trying to find over the course of the next few days. Because we can definitely get lost in trying to change our physical circumstances, trying to change our mental circumstances in order to get to that magical place. And that is a path. That is a path. But we're trying to get a more direct relationship with joy and a more direct means at transforming the relationship with ourselves and with our presence. Does that make sense? So there's the difference between the highs and the lows of our emotions and the joy, the unconditional love, the joy that comes when you are present with yourself. Present with presence. And so we do that again, with awareness, with self-awareness, and going directly to that source. So when we can clear up, and this is the idea that I want to send you off today to contemplate, to meditate. I just see a big comment here from Michael. 1 second. Discrimination and segregation of frequency and resonant causal vibration, which most don't want to see yet, is the foundation of reality. Separating the electric field of awareness, aka positivity through emotion, imagination, perspectives, from magnetism, negativity, feeling, dissection, questioning, going inward, diving deep, samadhi, reflection, self-observation. We are electromagnetic beings of pure presence. Great. Deep truth, brother. Yes, good. So this idea right here is going to start to, how do I say this? We were raised based off of this survival of the fittest programming, based off of our animalistic roots, and based off of our limited human self-conscious operating system. To create a imagined sense of self that is very much mixed with who we actually are. And I'll say this in a different way. Think about how you domesticate an animal, or how you train an animal, right? We, in our evolution, are just getting, we're just getting beyond being animals in evolutionary speak, in terms of millions, thousands, in terms of the telescopic nature of how fast evolution is happening from the dinosaurs all the way till now. We're just leaving, in evolutionary speak, we're just leaving animals, like in terms of our roots of our DNA and how we've evolved our intelligence. And so if you look at how you train an animal versus how you train a human, it doesn't diverge too much, actually. Especially, especially the more kind of structured your parents were, and how much, how stringent they were on you, instead of allowing you kind of free roam, like how much they kind of told you what right and wrong was, and good and bad, and here's our beliefs and these are your beliefs, and they imparted their beliefs onto you to keep you safe and all of that stuff. So once we become aware of that in us, and we kind of go back to our childhood and see, first, how did our parents raise us? How did they train us to be good? And then getting sent into like the public school system. And I don't know, most people here are probably publicly school raised, to where I think you said the word segregated, to where knowledge was just segregated into these different subjects. And it was the Pink Floyd kind of mold of how to grow, how to train, how to raise a human child to become a human adult. It's a box. It's literally a box. And once we understand this from an evolutionary and intelligence level, we start to see what our identity is being sourced from, and why we have so much non-preferred things in our reality that we seemingly are powerless or helpless to change, and what thematically we are noticing in our earth, in our collective, and in our environment that is negative. And it all goes back to this box that we were put into by our parents, by the educational system, and by the media society kind of idea of our tribe, no matter where you came from. And let me, I'll get to these comments in a second. So as we start to really tap more into joy, we're going to hit these walls. That's what's going to happen. And that's what you're probably feeling right now, is I'm saying things that are kind of against the programming. And so it's going to bring up a lot of that resistance, because you got that same resistance when we asked to go into the non-preferred, because you were taught not to look there. And as we start to come face to face with this resistance, we start to actually come face to face with the walls of our box that we were trained to stay in. And this mental box is in an extreme metaphorical sense is a prison for our animalistic freedom. I say that to say that when you do truly connect with your power, and the joy and the power, the peace, the love, it's all very much interconnected. It's going to be like you're waking up this animal inside of you that has been dormant for a long time. And it's going to be a little scary to let it loose, because everything that you've been taught growing up has taught you that it's unsafe, that it's dangerous to go outside the box, and that in a tribal sense, when you leave the tribe, it means death, because who can survive alone, right? And that's really the evolutionary old programming trying to keep itself ingrained in you, to keep you in that containment, in that box. So that first question, because you're here because I assume you want to awaken more joy, you want to awaken, period, or you're already in that process, and you're just wanting to accelerate, amplify, enhance, and expand on it. But I hope you can see that this is what most of humanity is stuck in terms of unconsciousness, asleep, stuck in the matrix, whatever metaphor you have for the sheep, another metaphor, of society. So let's do it. Let's do it. So that's my first question to you is, are you ready to see? I don't even want to say step outside the box, because it's not the complete truth here, because the awakening experience, enlightenment, self-realization, self-actualization, if you truly are a samurai that wants the truth, wants freedom above all else, you need to be able to have the courage to blow up, to destroy everything. And that's probably the scariest thing I'll say, maybe. But that is kind of the attitude that you need to have, because change is trying to create the new while trying to keep the old, while transformation is totally destroying the old to create the new. And if it's transformation that you desire, to really step into a higher vision of your most preferred reality, you need to be willing to leave a lot of these things behind and totally forget about them, and to free yourself from the lower frequencies that are so comfortable for you. So let me stop there for a second and catch up on the comments. Alice says, I see the negativity and self-examine my intentions long enough to name what may rob me of joy and take responsibility. Then I work through it and not give it power, only bring it up when necessary for growth for self or in sharing my story with others. I see joy as true presence of inner peace, not temporary happiness. Great. Awesome. I don't train my animal. I really don't see or think that way. I am always seeking validation. So Karen, I'll talk about that more, but that it is because it's like the reverse of it, because you were this small tiny animal that was looking to be trained or looking for how to do things that you never got validated for. They never gave you that validation, so that's why you're always seeking it. If fear is instilled, humanity tends to do as told, not out of respect, but fear-based. Yes, that's what we're stepping out of, is the fear-based perspectives. Christy says, better than okay. I don't know what she's replying to. Resistance is a key to growth or remembering who you are. Bo, I think it's Bo. Is that how you say your name? I found my freedom in my prison. Good. There is no box. Perfect. Christy says, but are the lower frequencies really comfortable? Debatable. Meditation, psychological depth, as in Phoenix rising. From the ashes, the serpent of Kundalini flying, the death and resurrection of consciousness, one super consciousness. Yes. Okay. Awesome comments, guys. I love it. I love it. So yes, you blow up the box to realize that there is no box, but that is like how focused you have to be to realize what illusions you are still believing in. So as we challenge that on this first, in this first day, and to sleep on, to wake up with, we're going to serve up kind of two ways of looking at yourself and to see where you're still believing in the lower frequency states of who you are. Because when you're still believing in illusions in the lower frequency states, you are still empowering the things in your reality that are non-preferred, no matter if you're looking at them or not. So that is to answer your question, Christy. But are the lower frequency states really comfortable? It is kind of a, where's that question? I know, yeah, is on one hand, they are not comfortable because, as you had put in your top 5 things non-preferred, there's things in your life that are not comfortable, that you resist, that you hate, that you avoid, that you cause pain and all of that. But deeper is still a comfortable belief about who you are. Because when you go deeper to change, transform the relationship and identification about who you are, all of a sudden the things that are bothering you, are uncomfortable, start to dissipate and disappear. So deeper still, there are lower frequency identifications that are a comfort zone, that are a box for you, that are manifesting in your physical life, in your emotional life, in your mental life, as these things that are non-preferred. Does that make sense? So we're going very deep. We're going into the root, as Karen said. We're going very deep into the seeds and the roots that are really going to start to really, when you address it, change your whole consciousness very, very rapidly, and allow more joy to be accessible. Because as we've said, the stream of joy is changeless and eternal and constant. It is the energy stream of consciousness that is changeless and eternal, and that stream of energy is what we're actually tapping into, instead of the cordoned off constricted version that you constructed unconsciously, unintentionally, as children, based off the environmental constraints, programming, thoughts, everything that got encoded, installed into you. So what we're addressing right here, again, serving up these two identifications, and I want you to meditate and sleep on this, is the difference between feeling, sensation, state, frequencies, emotional context, perceptions, perspectives, between the state of personhood and the state of presence. And watching what gets your identification. So you're operating in your life, things are happening, you're moving, you're driving, you're reading, you're watching, you're conversing, you're getting triggered, all of that stuff is happening. When you turn the camera around, are you identified with the state of personhood or the state of presence? So the state of personhood is when you feel like a person and you create this internal secondary stick figure that is who you think you are. That's the identification. And so when you start to become aware of this, what feels more true and what feels better as you start to test this out, as you start to experiment? Oh, like state of personhood. So when I am talking to this guy and I feel this like uncomfortable feeling, what's it actually communicating? Oh, it's because I'm defending this belief as a person, because he's wrong and I'm right. And you're watching yourself just defend this position because you as a person have told yourself that you believe that you are this person and you have this belief and that is who you are, and you defend it like it's something that is super important to you and that has stakes and all of that stuff, versus the state of presence. All of a sudden more space is available to see you're right and he's right, like more possibilities, because now your intelligence can actually observe reality and start to understand the infinite doors of perception available to everyone, because it's all coming from the same presence. So as you make that choice to consciously identify as the state of presence versus the state of personhood, you start to disentangle all of those resistant beliefs and forcing, controlling, manipulating, all of that stuff that takes a lot of energy. You see why it's not efficient. And I use efficient very precisely because when it's about efficiency, it's no longer about defense. It's no longer about the need to be right. It's more about what actually feels good to you? What actually feels better to you? Because when you're actually honest with yourself about what the truth is and what illusion from truth is, you start to, again, see very clearly how mixed these frequencies are of being a person versus being presence. So does that make sense? I know that's a lot. Bo says, I don't know, it's confusing. That's good, that's fine. I feel at the end of the day, we need to take responsibility for our own joy and not base it on any exterior dependency. I love my life, and the 5 things I listed for sure need to be worked on now as I've identified them. And as I manifest the joy from within, reflect, love this space. Thank you for this topic. Good. I am present within my identification. Personhood. No, Bo, it's okay. It's okay. I know I'm going pretty fast. Oh, he left? That's okay. That's okay. Yes, Michael, you're right. All right. Hopefully, maybe he's still on so I can clarify. I'm going to be posting a video of someone that I love that talks about this probably better than I can. His name is Muji, and he speaks on this topic and presence and pointing as I am to who you truly are, which allows more joy to come out because I don't know if he's still on. What's going to come up is the defense mechanisms to what this identification is boxing you in on. So that's that. So again, Bo, if you're still listening or if you watch this later, instead of trying to figure this out mentally, sit back and just try to feel what is rising in you and start to see the emotions that are getting rised up and the mental thoughts that are like, so the mental is like, I don't understand this, I'm confused. So then just sit back and see that there's actually fear underneath that and see where that fear is coming from. And the fear is coming from the state of personhood because it's putting the person under threat. And that's why this path of awakening takes commitment and devotion, because it's going to bring up everything comfortable about yourself that you're defending, that you have to defend, only to let it go and really get clear on who you truly are, what you truly are, and the presence and emptiness that has been demonized because people don't understand how to be with it and how to marinate in that space, because you think you're separate from it. You think you are separate from the space of the self that you truly are. I don't know if that's the right Muji. Oh yeah, it is. Does he actually have a Facebook page? I didn't know that. I've always followed his YouTube, so I didn't know you had a Facebook page. Okay, Bo. Oh, glad to hear that you're still on. So yeah, don't try to understand this mentally, but just experiment with your curiosity to examine and inquire into who is confused and the default answer is me, I'm confused, is to actually look at that me is that state of personhood that we are shifting identification from in order to again, in order to connect and be able to express more joy. Yes, likewise, as Michael said, honor your courage, because there is a desire that has put you here. Um, there is a desire that has put you here, and so as we start to raise up the things that are blocking you, it's going to bring up a lot of shit that we want to address, that we want to see clearly the facade of our thoughts, and start to tune into the deeper aspects of ourselves that have not been seen uh, a lot. And so as you connect with this, just be with it and let the process unfold naturally and organically. Don't try to force anything. That is your meditation for tonight. I will see about putting a video or just his YouTube page and let you kind of intuitively select one that calls to you. And then tomorrow we will be back. I will announce the time in the morning. In fact, let me look at probably noon, but I will confirm that. I'll confirm that later. Shit is compost for the blossoming of the garden deep within our heart space, our conscious soul, where the analytical brain cannot go. You must let go and let it flow. Love it. Aaron, like being there, not necessarily being anything or anyone, the experience of being there. Yes. Yes. Exactly. Because these things are very ingrained. It's part of programming that we are shifting and evolving in this very moment. And so as you get more consciousness through this container, through this challenge, and more light, the old personhood, state of personhood, the old person is going to try to call you back to get distracted again at all the person problems, all the person responsibilities. I think as Deanna mentioned about paying bills and all the life stuff, shift out of job mode was one of her things. As you start to put your non-preferred things up for experimentation with what I've directed here, personhood versus presence, identification as the person or your identification as presence. As you start to serve these up, you'll start to see if I'm identified as the person, then I'm the one that has the job. I'm the one that has to do this. I'm the one that has to do that. But when you start to shift to presence, instead of being in this fight or flight mode all of the time, identified as each thing that is happening, you're just taking that step back and just witnessing it, and all of us, and it's gonna change a lot about your internal state, your internal space, and that's what we're really focused on here, is making the dramatic transformations on your inner space, and then the outer will follow. So yes, it is being there without getting caught in the personhood of out there that we are challenging and that we are shifting with this experiment. So does that make sense, Aaron? We have always have pure love for ourselves at a very deep level. Those who question this feel your heart beating without judgment or resistance in each and every moment, loving us from the deepest divine internal soul blueprint of pure presence, unconditional love. The conditions exist only in the brain. The heart has no conditions for you. Feel the truth within you. Boom. I love it. So Aaron, let me know if that answered your question, because you're right on it. That is what we're experimenting with, is getting caught in the personal versus seeing who you truly are, because that it's going to get to your roots. All right. Thank you, Michael. Let me just tune in here. I think tomorrow morning I'm going to start with a meditation. And we can say that'll be at probably 9 a.m. We'll say 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. I'm going to hop on for a meditation. It'll probably be a little more silence and maybe a little guided. We'll see how it goes. And then I'll do another live at noon, and see how day flows. This is very spontaneous and in the moment. It's not about a destination, but it is about deepening to who you truly are, and finding that unbounded, limitless pot of joy that is in your heart. All right. Let me know if there's any questions after I get off. I am here for all of you guys over the next five days. I'm devoting a lot of attention to this group. Yes, I hope everyone has a beautiful evening, experiencing allowed to guide you, feeling. Yes, yes. So, peace and joy to everyone, and I will see you tomorrow, which is now. It's all happening right now. Bye, guys.